You're welcome once again. In our first story, Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, will be acting president for the second time in 1 week when he's sworn in on Saturday. This is because President Akufo-Addo has officially informed the House he will be traveling out of Ghana from Saturday, January 31st, 2018, to attend an African Union summit in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. The swearing in of the Speaker has become necessary because the Vice President is away on medical leave in London. Not much has been heard from the Vice President since he was reportedly taken ill last week. His wife, Samira Baumia, on Thursday posted a tweet expressing gratitude to all well-wishers. It reads, "My husband M. Baumia and I are grateful to all Ghanaians and well-wishers from across the world for your prayers, support and best wishes. He's doing very well and we thank Allah for his grace. He looks forward to returning to work soon." Parliament has meanwhile summoned the local government minister and officials of the Births and Deaths Registry to respond to questions on plans to bar Ghanaians from registering some local names. Joseph Obokugapo has more.
Well, Speaker of Parliament Professor Michael Quay earlier today read a letter from President Akufo-Addo informing Parliament that he will be out of the country to attend the meeting of the African Union and the funeral of former music icon Hugh Masekela. Hence, he will be out of the country between tomorrow and the 31st of January.
During my absence and given the absence of out of the country of the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Muhammad Bawumia, you shall, that is addressing the Speaker, in accordance with Article 6011 of the Constitution, act in my stead.
Majority Leader in Parliament, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, announced that MPs will thus have to show up tomorrow, although it's a Saturday, at 8:30 a.m. to sit and swear in Professor Michael Quay as acting president.
As we have been informed, the president is programmed to leave between 8:30 and 9. If it should leave at 8:30, we shall be ready to have the Speaker sworn in before Parliament and in Parliament. The Speaker, I believe the raucous response is indicative of the fact that people want an extension of your kingdom.
But there is general consensus on both the side of the majority and the minority that the Constitution needs to be changed so that the swearing of the oath doesn't have to be done every time that the president and his vice are out of the country.
We can all attest to the fact that the president, on whose behalf the Speaker is going to work, on whose behalf the Speaker is going to act, would himself take oath once. So, under what circumstances do we say that each time that person is not around, that the situation arises, that the Speaker would have to act? Each time the Speaker would have to take the oath. Then if it is 100 times, it means that that particular oath would have to be taken 100 times. And if you look at the wording, there wouldn't be any change in what happened on Sunday and what is going to happen tomorrow.
I'm aware that the Constitutional Review Committee gave a report for amendment of Article 68 to delete the absence. Well, as it stands, whenever the president is absent from the country or is unable to discharge his functions, and a proposal has been made for what I'm reliably aware of, a proposal has been made for such amendment to cause a deletion of the absence.
In fact, that is the specific concern of almost all MPs across the political divide, because it's becoming monotonous that given the frequency of travel of the president, and then of course we all know the president travels a lot, so it's something that is worrying that at every turn, and especially given the uncertainty, behind the date of the return of His Excellency the Vice President to office. then it stands to reason that any time from now until the vice president returns, when the speaker, His Excellency the President is traveling out of the country, we have to come back and engage in this ceremony. It's one too many.
Also on the floor of the House earlier today, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, raised concerns about a directive from the Registrar of Births and Deaths that they would not henceforth be able to register a number of names which are local names and are titles of various powerful authorities as the names of individuals who are given birth to in the country. Well, him and other MPs, including Joseph Osewusu, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, were unhappy.
If they want a revision of the law, this is the appropriate institution. I'm not sure Parliament will be amenable even to give them a hearing or consider a revision of it. Because these and nanes, they are part of us and part of our culture. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm raising this to invite the majority leader, who is leader of government business, that the Minister for Local Government and the Births and Deaths Registry should give us cause why they should not stop this illegality, because they do not have the authority under the laws of Ghana to ban those names, and must give us reason why they are proceeding on this lawlessness.
The registrar apparently attempted to bring an amendment to the act, and the Committee on Local Government at the time flatly refused to deal with that. It should not bring any controversy into our country. But I think it must be understood that the names Ni, Nana, Tobe, and other things, they have relevance in our culture. You can't decide that you have refused to recognize the name I've given to my father. And I think that it is time public and civil servants understood that the powers given to them are all written in codes, and they are not entitled to exercise any powers that Parliament has not given to them.
In response, Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, summoned the Minister for Local Government and the Registrar for Births and Deaths to appear before MPs next week, Tuesday, to justify that latest directive. From Parliament House in Accra, my name is Joseph Opoku-Gakpo.
Let's stay on the issue of the Births and Deaths Registry a while longer, because the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, has asked the Births and Deaths Registry to rescind its decision to disallow some Ghanaian names on its birth certificates. The announcement has caused considerable debate, with many upset by the move. Speaking on Adum TV, Bright Appiah stated it is unlawful for the institution to take such a decision, which he says goes against the rights of the child. He's advising the registry to reconsider the move.
Now, some of these things are purely administrative, and the law gives them the room to pass certain, to make certain policies and all that. So I will consider this as a policy, not really within the context of the legalities and all that. But this is what administratively the decision that they want to take, and we are saying that so far as administrative law is concerned, if you within your normal work, you take certain decisions that contradict the provision of the Constitution and then any acts passed by Parliament, then of course anybody at all can enforce it, provided you are affected by it and all that, or it will have a general effect on the lives of children or in the lives of anybody. So in this case, we are looking at the importance that we have attached to name, to the extent that you pick the UN Convention on the Right of the Child, it's talking about it. You pick the Constitution of Ghana, it's talking about it, and then you also pick the Children's Act. It is clear. So we cannot just play with such things within the administrative authorities that have been given to those institutions. That's why we are saying that if you are a child and your parent has presented your name, that this is how you need to be named. I don't think that anybody can stop that. And if they still want to go ahead, we would seek for the appropriate. We will go to court for court to decide as to whether indeed such an act, or they do have that power to exercise.
Now, the Lejokuku Municipal Assembly, LECMA, will be pulling down some unauthorized structures in the municipality as part of a massive decongestion exercise. Authorities say the exercise will enhance free flow of traffic and running water and put the municipality in order. Municipal Works Engineer at the LECMA, Engineer Richard Nyama, tells Adom News reporter Abla Afokpa many structures built on waterways or sited in unauthorized places will be cleared as they pose a threat to lives and property.
Early Friday morning, the Lejokuku Krowo Municipal Assembly embarked on a demolition exercise at Nungwa Adegono, pulling down 3 shops that had been sited in front of a house, which made it difficult for occupants to get access to their homes. Some of the affected shop owners spoke with Adom News. I sell beans right in front of the shop. When I came this morning to arrange my items, there was no one around. On the 3rd count, I saw my table and other items scattered, and some ended up in the gutters. I saw them destroying items, and I didn't understand what was going on.
I simply don't understand what the assembly is doing. We were not given any notice. I am surprised at the action. I own a boutique here.
Municipal Works Engineer of LECMA, Engineer Richard Nwama, explained why they are embarking on this exercise.
I went there with my task force just to write on them to remove. We went there again to give them a final one to move. They were still there. I then report the issue to my Honorable Chief Executive and the Honorable PM. We all went there to give them like a sister advice that to move them because it's even dangerous wherever they are selling. They still move there. I then invited them that fine, they should get an appropriate place and then come and tell me. When they come, at least we'll go there and look at it. If the place is good, we approve them, give them a temporary permit to operate. We do all these things, they didn't mind us. We realize that people are trying to be indisciplined within the municipality. So assembly have to wake up. Otherwise, people will just be putting container anywhere. So that is the reason why we embark the exercise or decongestion exercise today.
Engineer Richard Nwama also hinted of the Assembly's plans to undertake more demolition exercises and the inspection of homes that do not meet the municipality standards.
What we are supposed to do this year also is that we are also trying to regularize people, the existing structures who doesn't have permit. In this case, it will also help us to know that either the structure that is there is good condition or bad condition. In other words, we will check for either even the house have a fire extinguisher, or either they have a environmental protection agency certificate, or either they have done structure integrity report. With all this, we will get to know and advise them accordingly.
Abla Afokpa's report for Joy News.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. I'm Marabou Coombs, and still ahead, juvenile suspects in last week's reported gang rape at Asin South confess how they were invited to partake in the act so they could contribute to settle the victim's demands.
She requested we buy an iPhone for her and also give her some 5 million cedis. That is why we slept with her.
We'll be right back after this break. You're welcome back. Now, 4 juvenile suspects who took turns to defile a 14-year-old JHS2 student at Asin Fosu in the Central Region have been remanded into juvenile police custody. This was after they were arrested last Wednesday for their involvement in the crime which happened last week, Friday. The 4, aged between 14 and 16, as well as their victim, are classmates at the T.I. Ahmadiyya School at Asin Asamankesie in the Asin South District of the Central Region. Asin Fosu Divisional Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Henry Bacho tells Adom News police are currently pursuing the occupant of the flat where the alleged defilement took place.
There was an incident that at Asing Asamankase, where a girl, 14 years, a JSS2 girl, demanded an iPhone and 500 Ghana cedis from a colleague. And the colleague accepted, but later on thought it wise to consult his friends so that they can they can all sleep with the girl and then share the amount and pay to the girl. It was the other first boy who suggested, because he cannot afford the iPhone plus the 500, so he's looking for people to assist. And they now all came to agreement, they conspire to come to agreement that they should all sleep with the girl and contribute to pay for the iPhone and the 500, which they did, and went around the girl like that. The information was from the girl's mother. He was searching for her and couldn't get her, and finally located her at an unsecured place, and then when she was interviewed, then the girl confessed. We have remanded the 4 people, and we are looking for the owner. Somebody gave them the room, so we are looking for the owner of the room to also give him a query to answer. The advice I will give them, they should desist from this thing. As age 14, what do you know about sex? 14, 15. Now you have gone and you have done it in the group. It's not the best. And I also advise parents to supervise their children. After school, 6 o'clock, why don't you let your child be in school, in the house, and do some reading, rather than leave them to go and play music in somebody's house? That led to these things. So the parents should take care of their children very well and monitor their activities in the evenings.
While the suspects have meanwhile been explaining the victim had initially agreed to have sex with them in return for a mobile phone and 500 Ghana cedis cash, only to have a change of mind after 3 of them had had their turn because she was uncomfortable with the 4th suspect. They explained the plan was hatched by a supposed boyfriend of the victim, Peter Atta.
Okasa money phone nisika. iPhone nisika. Internet ne die. Sika 5 million. Next 5 million the yen to the man 4 million. Therefore,
again, in Kakana Ghana Tiaze, Gansu Uchaji, says Kobajini. Into Mubaya away and send a neither. Again, you can't want to see and again so Uchaji says it's going to be 5 million. Now, phone. Now, Peter Kachan said, phone the Scandia Untumintia, so it's also there and commit metia, no cast 4 million. Now, phone, now say phone there. Also, Petash, a iPhone. Also, iPhone Untuminto. Say, a keeper there. And then come when they me na Peter ni papa and they no. Na a car pepla, Tippa, and so about them on, and Tibiana, a bamful baho. As much you or than anymore. Until they didn't a pure. Oh, again, didn't have a training master and send number fair, but until Cranny was come from the flare.
Peter Nicas on quite 1 minute chess canoe. Until young corner pay money gainiska. Until Minamo 120 or me said in Kako, where Peter Mumdi Kako demo. In a way call, and yours and call, until me call on. Because 2 years is out against and Kayan say, yours, sorry, now, or sorry, no PM and got to again so. Because to again so. Now, mammy, before be bound. A patch of time, many die, and the number is no be any hope.
Still in the central region, a 13-year-old boy has been crushed to death by a chainsaw operator at Asin Abojose near Sinchiam in the Asin North municipality, according to the Asin Fosu Divisional Commander, Chief Superintendent Henry Bacho. The boy was trapped by a falling tree on his way to a location where chainsaw operators were working. The police commander told Adom News' Alfred Amo the chainsaw operator is currently in police custody whilst investigations are ongoing.
Police received a message that a 13-year-old boy had been trapped by a falling tree. So police proceeded to the village called Abojise. It's a single cottage around St. James. When they got there, they saw the boy in a blue dress trapped under the tree. The investigation revealed that on the 24th, dormer machine operator was felling a tree, and the son attracted the boy who had been given to an old man to take care of by his father, and he had traveled to Cherpone. The boy sneaked out from the house and went out to the place where the dormer machine was making noise. However, the operator, according to him, didn't know that the boy was also coming, and the tree fell that direction and trapped him. So it was around 6 p.m. when the old man wanted to give the boy food, and he was now searching for the boy and couldn't get him. But later on decided to visit the falling tree to see what was happening. It was there he saw the boy trapped under. And the operator, he didn't even know that something of this was happening, so he started peeling off the trees. So the body was retrieved and put at St. Francis Xavier Hospital for autopsy. The guardian of the boy is a 74-year-old man, very old, and the operator too, the two of them were arrested, but due to the health grounds of the old man, we have given him bail to attend to medical and then come back for further actions.
Let's do some more crime stories. And a 60-year-old man is to spend 18 months in jail for inflicting severe multiple burns on his niece. Zachariah Salifu pleaded guilty to causing harm to the child he had accused of stealing 600 Ghana cedis. The Mamponting District Court subsequently convicted him on his own plea and sentenced him. He's also signed a bond to be of good behavior. JoyNews first aired the story on the harm caused to the child in September.
In September 2017, we aired a story about a 60-year-old man who inflicted severe multiple burns on his niece for allegedly stealing 600 Ghana cedis. The incident, which occurred at Ajumam here in the Kwabri East district of the Ashanti region, left neighbors in shock. The annoyed uncle burned the body of the girl with a hot knife and subsequently locked her up in the room. It took the timely intervention of neighbors and good Samaritans to free the girl and subsequently took her to the hospital. Today, Zachariah Shafiu has been sentenced to 18 months imprisonment with hard labor. Here is the district prosecutor, Chief Inspector Digraf Ama Ajay.
He pleaded guilty to the count or the charge, but later he was remanded, and then the next adjourned it. When we came, a lawyer came and stated that he should change his plea to that of not guilty, which was accordingly done by the accused person. So the matter, we started prosecuting by calling our witnesses. Two of them spoke, and later on the last date, which happens to be the 19th of January, we came back to court, and the accused person changed his plea once again to guilty simpliciter, and he was accordingly convicted. We appeared before court for about 11 adjournments. Okay. This happened because the presiding magistrate was on leave. For that matter, the case has to be delayed or adjourned to enable her complete her leave. We have taken him to Central Prisons, Kumasi, where he is presently undertaking his sentence. The man was also bonded over to be of good behavior for 2 years. If he is not able to comport himself within that period, after he has been released, he will also go for extra 6 months. That is the bond. And then, in fact, it has served a good lesson to the people around here who have been torturing children. Even now, some are even afraid to just bury their own children. And in fact, the people are happy with the sentence. The child, in fact, is now very, very beautiful. It's being catered for by the state, and it is in the home. That is Aswasi. So he's in the children's home in Kumasi, and he's doing marvelously well.
The prosecutor also expressed worry about how parents treat their children in the district.
Non-maintenance of children. This is what is rampant over here. You give birth and then they will not be taken care of. This is the cases that we have been receiving. We usually send them to court, and the court enforce those laws, so that if you are not caring for your children, the court would mandate you to do it. You have to do this, and then maybe some amount will be laid down for the wife.
Reporting for Joy News, Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
We're taking a short break, but still ahead, residents of Kwabenya demonstrate how restive the community has become since the killing of a police officer in a recent attack on the police station there.
If a thief might come to your house, no matter how it is, after taking all your properties, he'll kill you too. So to me, if anybody who is a thief was arrested, to me, they have to kill that person.
Details after business, which is coming up next.
Hello again, good evening to you, and it's time for business. The Chamber for Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEG, is renewing its call on government to abolish the special petroleum tax in the price build-up of petroleum prices in the country. According to the General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Solomon Kote, who is also the Vice Chairman of the Chamber, the special petroleum tax is not only a nuisance tax, but avoidable in the face of rising prices on the world market. Earlier, Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, explained further on the marketplace.
Special petroleum tax is about one of the taxes leading all of us into a ditch. Anytime international market prices go up, you find special petroleum tax also going up. What it means is that whilst we complain of hurricane development, world market price surges, then special petroleum tax is also going up. If you ask the leadership of the country what specifically we are doing with SPT, it doesn't have any particular purpose. And one thing we know is that it was introduced somewhere 2015 just to shore up revenue for government at the time that world market prices had dipped so low. Unfortunately, when prices began going up from the 28 to 30 to 40, even to 50, we still saw no need at all to do away with that tax. So today, as we speak, when you buy 1 gallon of petrol at any pump, you are paying more than 2 cedis 30 pesos in special petroleum tax alone. That is quite significant, and we think that if you do a comparative case study of how much fuel is costing around the world, Ghana wouldn't have any justification at all to sell the same fuel that we co-import with Nigeria for 20 cedis 83 pesos, when our counterparts in Nigeria are able to trade at 10 cedis, when our counterparts in Benin are able to do 15 cedis, when our counterparts even in the United States, a highly industrialized economy that has so much demand for petrol, is able to do about 15 cedis equally. Russia is doing about 15, 16 cedis. You go to Dubai, it's about 15, 16 cedis. Algeria, Egypt is 7 Ghana cedis as we speak. Clearly, something must be wrong with our system.
Now, Duncan,
we think that this ought to be corrected immediately.
The Chinese government, in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, has launched an exhibition for local businesses to showcase their products on the Chinese market. The maiden platform will start from November this year and will serve as an opportunity for local business owners to woo foreign investors into Ghana. Joy Business Bismarck Ausa has more.
As part of China's One Belt, One Road initiative, which seeks to facilitate trade among various countries across the world, the country will be hosting an international import exposition this year to support economic globalization. Fortunately, Ghana is among some African countries selected to exhibit its products on China's 1.3 billion market. Speaking to Joy Business after a media briefing on the exposition, Economic and Commercial Counselor at the Chinese Embassy, Chai Zhenhing, said it is a good opportunity for local exhibitors to woo foreign investors into the country.
At the moment, for the bilateral trade is concerned, Ghana is our top 10 trading partners in Africa. But at the moment, Ghana's trade with China is in a deficit. So that means Ghana buys more from China than its export. So I think this import-export will be a very good opportunity for Ghana to show its potential, what it can offer to the Chinese consumers.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Carlos Ahenkra expressed his outfit's commitment to supporting local manufacturers and business owners in this regard.
Unfortunately, as you heard him say, the information came a bit later in the year, just close to the Christmas festivities, so they were not able to bring them out. We're just hearing it, not for the first time though, but we're just having this press release. But unfortunately, the early bird period ends 31st of January. We have pleaded with them to extend it one more month. We want to take advantage of that early bird offer and have a whole pavilion to ourselves outside the individual enterprises that are going to have their own pavilions, which I know that a lot of companies are going to have their own individual showcasings. If our request is accepted, or if our 1 month moratorium is given, I can assure you that within the month of February we'll be able to affirm our commitment to take a pavilion for Ghana in the expo.
Mr. Ahenkra is therefore urging small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, to seize the opportunity to make more gains.
SMEs form about 80 to 85% of all the companies or industries that we have in here. And they even suffer the most because many large companies are either multinational or they have their import based countries outside Ghana. So after manufacturing, they don't suffer any distribution problems or penetration issues. Those that suffer most are the SMEs in Ghana who sometimes lack market penetration or visibility. So this is an opportunity for them, especially the SMEs, to develop their potential and go out there and have a bigger space to sell.
The first China International Import Exposition will be held in Shanghai from November 5th to November 10th, 2018. It hopes to attract exhibitors and purchasers across the world. Bismarck Awuse's report for Joy Business.
Now, businesses and NGOs in Ghana with the intention of running climate change-related programs can receive international funding from the Green Climate Fund. This is after a successful readiness program organized by the MOF, that's the Ministry of Finance, in collaboration with other stakeholders. There's more in this report.
The Green Climate Fund, GCF, is a global fund created to support efforts of developing countries to respond to the challenges facing the climate. The GCF Readiness Program, a subsidiary of the Global Climate Fund, is a series of preparatory activities aimed at helping Ghana plan, access, manage, deploy and manage climate financing. The $988,000 program was financed by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety. The 2-year readiness program, which ended last December, was organized in 9 districts across the country and saw stakeholders and private entities go through a series of workshops in a bid to prepare them on processes and requirements for the GCF fund. Head of Natural Resource Department at the Ministry of Finance, Ajwa Freku, says 2 potential financial institutions have applied to become access points for the GCF fund. She also explained how various companies can access the fund.
What EcoBank and SIF is doing is what we call the direct access. Apart from direct access, we have something we call the MIE or the RIE. RIE simply means regional implementing entities, where MIE means multilateral implementing entities. So if a country doesn't have the direct access entity, we can still access funds through the multilaterals like the UNDP, UNEP or World Bank.
Now, have you thought about Samsung phones being assembled right here in Ghana? Well, that can happen if the country is able to meet some conditions required by the electronics giant Samsung. Samsung Africa boss Sung Yoon highlights those conditions that would influence this strategic decision. Industry players say if this materializes, that could go a long way to reduce the cost of Samsung phones in the country.
It's a matter of time, right? So two things we can say. There are any companies have the short-term planning and long-term planning. So as a short-term plan for next 3 to 5 years, there is no plan for us to do a local assembly. And the longer term, like over 5 years or 10 years, definitely we will consider if we can have a local assembly.
But if some waivers are extended to you as well from the government side, is this something that could be a motivating factor?
Well, government is one of the factors, but the first factor is the market size and the market situation. So this market is big enough to consider the local assembly. So if we do a local assembly, there definitely has a certain level of market demand.
Is the growth opportunities that good in this market, or we are getting to that saturation state?
That's a good point. So growth opportunities are definitely here. One of the most stabilized economy in Africa, Ghana. That's what I told you. Longer term plan, yes. If the growth is there, then we will consider.
And that's all in business tonight. Thank you so much for watching. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. You have to enjoy the weekend.
You're welcome back. Now, residents of Kwabenya, where a police officer was killed during a recent attack on a police station on Thursday, showed how restive the community has become when they massed up to exact vengeance on 2 suspects who had been accused of a break-in. The incident resulted in a standoff between the police, who wanted to take custody of the suspects, and a crowd which wanted to administer instant justice. The 2 suspects were arrested by a resident who was convinced he had them captured on CCTV footage breaking into a boutique in the community the previous night. JoyNews' Maxwell Agbaba has more.
Well, hundreds of residents living here at Kwabenya yesterday gathered in front of this boutique here, the Yasmin Collection, all of them waiting patiently to lynch 2 suspected robbers who were inside this particular boutique. We are told that on the 23rd January, the suspects walked in here to snoop around. Later, they came that evening and broke into the shop, destroying the burglar proof here. They were captured by CCTV on both occasions. Well, later, we are told that some attendants were able to make them out on the streets of Kwabenya and invited them inside. The owner of this boutique has been telling us exactly what happened after the mob gathered here waiting to lynch the 2 suspects.
My boy said they arrested them. That's my electrician and the steel benders. They were working. They saw them on the video. So they saw these 2 guys walking. They're like, nah, they look so suspicious. So they went and, you know, they stopped them. They told them, look, you're the guys we saw in the video. So by then I think there were people around and they heard it. They're like, and everybody knew yesterday that I was almost robbed. So people came around and they brought them. They were about to lynch them. By the time I got here, whole place was really, really crazy. There were a lot of people who were ready to lynch them because of what happened to the policeman today. So they were ready to lynch them. So when I was also coming, I passed through the police station and I informed some policemen. So I came in with 2 police officers. But then there were some also police patrol cars. They also came around and it was so crazy. They couldn't control the crowd. So we brought in the suspected robbers here to protect them, because when we leave them, the people are actually going to kill them, because it wasn't easy. The whole place was crazy, it was on fire. So that's actually what happened. So the police, they actually did very well. The police did very well to protect them. We also did our best to make sure they were safe, so that we'll take them to the police station. Because if you look at the footage of the camera, you cannot actually tell So it could be a resemblance or something. We have to have a concrete evidence before we can do anything. In any case, we don't even have any rights to lynch them.
I've been interacting with some of the residents here in Kwabenya who tell me that they have been victims of incessant attacks. They are vowing to lynch any criminal that is caught in this area stealing.
If that person is coming with a weapon, I don't have some, and someone is able to help me to catch that person, I think I have to end that person's life too. Because if the person is coming to rob me and I don't have it, he will either take my life or, destroy me. I will become disabled. Even going to work will be quite difficult. So if you are coming with a bad intention, I have to also, meet you with a bad intention, either to take off your life or, also to damage you.
The truth is, if a thief man comes to your house, no matter how it is, he will not spare you. He also will kill you. After taking all your properties, he will kill you too. So to me, if anybody who is a thief was arrested, to me, they have to kill that person. Reason is, if you arrest that person to prison, he will take a lawyer, and the lawyer will defend him. Later on, he will come back and continue stealing again.
Now, the Consumer Protection Agency has served notice it will resist attempts by the Electricity Company of Ghana to compensate with prepaid electricity credit thousands of customers who were affected by its software glitch last month. It comes as the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, which ordered the ECG to pay compensation, explained the action has been necessitated by the failure of the power distributor to provide facilities for vending of electricity credit to customers, as well as their slow response to customers. The software glitch in December 2017 left thousands of prepaid customers in areas including Kaneshi, Achimota, Kolebu and Dansoman unable to purchase electricity for several days. Responding to the PURC's directive, spokesperson for ECG, William Boateng, assured they would adhere to the directive and offer details on how the compensation would be paid. He spoke earlier Friday on The Pulse.
Well, according to the directive, we should do that within the month of February 2018. It should come in the form of credit, but of course, the credit or the electricity credit is in cash, so definitely it's in monetary terms. So if you look at the directive, you see that has been categorized into customer class, or in terms of the tariff structure. Yes, it's more of the tariff structure. So it's a matter of the category of the customer tariff consumption pattern, and then there's a compensation to that effect. That's the terms of when you are going to vend in February, we have to flag the affected customers that we are talking about here, and then we give them that compensation. It's in cash, all right. That is the amount that we give the equivalent of credit for the customer.
So how will this be measured? Will it be measured on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, case-by-case basis, according to what the PURC directed us. And I'm saying that when you look at the release, you definitely see the cable. We have those who consume within the bracket of 0 to 50, and that's a different residential category. They will have the 51 to 300 and so on and so forth. They have the non-residential, and so you see the amount stated clearly on the table in terms of 167 cedis. We have the 26.97 cedis. We have up to even the 98 cedis. In fact, in some cases, you see 108 cedis and so on.
But the Consumer Protection Agency is worried the ECG may be shortchanging consumers. They want the company to pay money to the affected customers as a form of compensation. Nana Prempe Eduhene is with the agency.
I'm not enthused and I'm not satisfied with what the PRC has done in terms of compensation for those who had lost this during the time of crisis. The reason is every electricity that is produced is being sold from BIA to ECG. ECG have to pay for it. So if you are telling me that we're going to use the same electricity that is produced to compensate people, then who is going to pay for that losses that is going to the consumer? So I'm not seriously enthused about what they are trying to do. For me, I would have wished that the PRC have a fund that is known as a contingency fund that is used to compensate consumers when they have crisis. And I know they have. When you have, let's say you have a high voltage in your house, and then you have some of your electrical gadgets going off, and you can really prove that it was through the high voltage that let your electrical gadgets go off, the PRC, by assessment, through your report, can compensate you for those things that have losses. That one is not coming from anybody. But you are telling me that you're going to use the same electricity that has been produced, it is paid for by using it to VRA to compensate consumers. I don't know what you're trying to do. Seriously.
Let's stay on commodities, because our water supply in most parts of the country will soon be rationed to ensure equitable distribution. The Ghana Water Company Limited, which announced this, explains the decision has been necessitated by challenges with water supply in Accra and most parts of the country due mainly to the onset of the dry season. The water company says the situation has led to intermittent water supply in most cities and towns in the country. Kamla Adum has been to the water treatment plant here in Accra to try to understand the situation on the ground.
On a daily basis, the water treatment plant produces over 29 million gallons of water for supply to many parts of Accra at full capacity. The plant, which sources water from the Densu water body, also serves multiple purposes for residents right across the banks. The Ghana Water Company says the levels of the water here at the Wager Dam has fast dropped. We are told this morning that water levels dropped to some 44.5 feet, and as a result of that, treatment of water is going to face some slight challenges. And we know that the activities of encroachers, builders, quarry sites, and even the fishmongers who work across the lake is affecting the activities of the water company. Every day, the water company spends in excess of 40,000 cedis in treating water from this dam site, which is onwardly distributed to parts of the capital, Accra. Here at the treatment plant, fresh water drawn from the water body is trapped and subsequently treated. The once clear water now looks like this. Green algae, water larvae, and other water plants have discolored the water, which authorities here tell me is heavily polluted. This is a raw water reservoir. It harvests water from the dam and then treatment processes begin. The settling plant receives fresh water for onward filtering and treatment. But sources at the Wager Dam reveal treatment of the water has become a lot more difficult due to heavy pollution from activities of fisherfolk, mongers, and residents who have literally taken over the banks of the water body. This is one of the pathways to the bank of the lake, where we are told that a lot of human activities happen. For example, washing. The fisherfolk also use this particular area to do their fishing expedition, while their wives and other women also engage in fishmongering. But the story of this particular area is that of heavy pollution. On our way here, there were evidence of human excreta lined up the pathway all through to the side of the water body. From where we stand, we see some fisherfolk from a distance. I have to cross this portion of the water body to attempt to speak to them. But before I even get to them, these men run into hiding. But apparently, upon seeing some of the individuals who were here have just decided to run into hiding for whichever reason. It was apparent, or rather evident from here, that these occupants who carry out activities along the water body know there's everything wrong about it. But they would not bother. Authorities here will not go on record, but we gather Friday morning armed security officials here warded off some fisher folk who were seen trespassing a demarcation given them by authorities. With the outset of a dry season, the water company says it is facing some challenges with water supply to parts of Accra as a measure to address the situation without leaving consumers without water. The Ghana Water Company says preservation of water will be key. Among others, consumers are advised to reduce use of treated water for watering lawns and operating washing bays, among others.
Communications Manager of the Ghana Water Company, Stanley Mate, has also been speaking to my colleague Aisha Ibrahim. He tells her that human activities are also partly to blame.
So it is not just about water in Accra, not just about Accra alone, but it's happening throughout the country. So every region has a peculiar problem, but it all boils down to the fact that we're in the dry season, and the water sources or the water resources that we abstract for production are dwindling very, very quick. And so that if we do not use water that flows through our taps wisely, and if you do not get any rains, then we'll have serious challenges ahead. I'm proud to the last 2 years, we're clearing water hyacinths once in about 2 years, but now we have had to do it about twice in a month.
Wow.
Yes, and what happens is that they all flow to our intake area, and then it impedes the rate of abstraction. Okay. We are unable to abstract enough water for treatment. So it affects us seriously, and then we may sometimes have to shut down and to clear these water hyacinths. Sometimes we may have to hire divers to go and to weed them and all that. And the frequency of this clearing also makes cost of production very high, because the people really charge us for clearing the water hyacinths. What we can do currently is education, because we are not law enforcers. So we can only educate the general public to desist from such acts. Okay, we are supporting the Water Resources Commission, which has the sole mandate in managing our water resources. So by our own way, we are also supporting them, and then educating the general public. And we also expect that the media will also help in the education of the general public.
Well, clearly this situation is not restricted to Ghana, but the water company is advising the general public to be measured in their consumption of water while it addresses the challenges. So what can you do as a customer to minimize the impact? Here's what you should do. First of all, you should cease the indiscriminate watering of lawns with treated water. You should moderate the use of treated water for car washing through the use of buckets instead of hosing. You should shut all taps when not in use. You should also repair all leakages in your homes, like overflowing reservoirs and dripping taps, valves, etc. And you need to report all burst pipes and leakages immediately to the nearest Ghana Water Company Limited district offices or the customer service. Away from water, 100 communities in the Nandum district of the Upper West region have been declared open defecation free, a remarkable feat considering that only 3 years ago, 89% of its residents were into the practice. The latest statistics show only 8%, I beg your pardon, of the residents in the district now openly defecate. Rafiq Salam has the rest of the story.
Open defecation is the practice of attending nature's call in the bush, at the beach, in drains and dump sites. According to a survey conducted by UNICEF, 3 out of 5 Ghanaians practice open defecation, a situation they expressed concern over, saying it could take the country 500 years to eliminate the practice due to the slow pace at which strategies, laws and interventions are being implemented. Narrowing it to the Upper West region, the situation is not different, as over 70% of the people are engaged in open defecation. However, the Nandom district is an exception, as they have made giant strides in reducing the number of communities that practice open defecation. Before the year 2014, open defecation in the district was 21%, but following the implementation of a 2014 DFID-funded project, that Sustainable Sanitation and Hygiene for All, the district by the end of 2017, only 8% of its residents were still engaged in the practice, thus giving the Regional Interagency Committee on Sanitation to declare the district as open defecation free, ODF. Celebrating the achievement of ODF in the Nandom district, the district chief executive, Ansolna Tedios Akon, acknowledged the contribution of SMV to the attainment of ODF status and commended the paramount chief of the Nandom traditional area, now Dr. Chaspo Urepo Bichiri VII, and his chiefs for embracing the community-led total sanitation concept.
Per the technical assessment, the district is now about 91% ODF. In terms of the regional score, the Nandom district, I'm happy to note, is rated first in ODF in the Upper West region. The ODF has contributed to move the district from 53rd in 2016 to 7th position on the National District League table in 2017.
The project is being funded by Netherlands non-governmental organization SMV. Rita Ambadre is their project manager.
We felt that sanitation is lacking behind when it comes to water and sanitation. So we decided that we will support communities to beef up their sanitation. So what we did was that we selected districts that we are going to work in, district that we know that they are having problems in sanitation. And when we enter the district assembly helps us, give us a list of communities that we can enter. We train them, and then they go into the communities to trigger the communities, bringing their minds and making them realize how open defecation is affecting their lives, their health, everything.
40 natural leaders who made sure that the community-led total sanitation concept succeeded in the various communities were awarded with bicycles. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Nandom.
Now, Ghana's media and political system may be young, but they appear to be inspiring many countries on the African continent. One of such countries is the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is dealing with some political crisis. Chairman of the Electoral Commission of that country, Cornel Yobela, has led an entire delegation of faith-based organizations to Ghana to find out how the media helps to execute successful elections. My colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, has more in this report.
Chairman of the Electoral Commission of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Colonel Yobela, led a 21-member delegation to visit Ghana to learn best practices in polls management. The delegation lauded Ghanaian journalists for effectively covering elections since 1992. The Christian Council of Ghana hosted a delegation that arrived earlier this week. The delegation had earlier paid a courtesy call on former President Kufuor and Ghana's Electoral Commission. Former Graphic Communications Chief Kenashigbe led the media interactions.
The media has played very, very critical roles in ensuring free and fair elections. I think one of the fundamental things that have helped us as a country is that our elections, our democracy was a product itself of a struggle in the media. You got the media agitating to be able to get out of when we were under a dictatorship to force to break the culture of silence to be able to ensure that we got democracy to come.
After several hours of interaction between the delegation and the Ghanaian media, chairman of DR Congo's Electoral Commission, Nangaa Lebelio, said he was convinced that the knowledge shared would help the commission to conduct credible elections.
We are planning to have election December 23, and we are going to host the 3 elections: presidential, provincial, and national elections. In terms of figures, we have in DRC, we are about 100 million people, and we have registered 46 million voters, and those days we are having DRC about 603 political parties. We are expecting to have hundreds of candidates, especially for presidential. We are expecting to have about 30 candidates. Lesson I have taken from Ghana that I can summarize like after exchanging with media people, we need to have a strong communication strategy. We need transparency. We also need to be very proactive. And lastly, I think it's necessary to build a very strong relationship with media.
Kwesi Parker Wilson, reporting for Joy News, Accra.
JoyNews Prime Headlines is brought to you in association with NIIT Ghana.
This is JoyNews Prime.
JoyNews Prime, our headlines at the top of the hour. Juvenile suspects in last week's reported gang rape at Asin South confess how they were invited to partake in the act so they could contribute to settle the victims' demands. Residents of Kwabenya demonstrate how restive the community has become since the killing of a police officer in a recent attack on their police station. Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, to act as president for the second time in a week as President Akufo-Addo leaves Accra on Saturday for 30th Africa Union Summit in Ethiopia. Parliament has meanwhile summoned the local government minister and the registrar of the births and deaths over their refusal to register some local names. In business, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana renews demand for government to remove all nuisance taxes, especially the special petroleum tax, from the price build-up of petrol to bring relief to consumers as crude oil prices continues to soar on the world market.